Immediately, Wale landed in Canada. His phone buzzed. It was his mother.
My son, for the meeting in August, I need new handbags and wrappers. My friends need to know my son is a big man in Canada.
Then his sister.
Bro, I need a new phone. The latest iPhone 17 Pro Max. All the girls are having it.
Then his father.
My son, by December, you must get a brand new Hilux, so everyone will know my son is a big man in Canada.
My people. He had not even gotten a job yet. Talk more of a home for himself. They were already giving expensive commands, planning how they'll show off to the community. Let me tell you how Wale even got to Canada, because this story will teach you how some people suffer to please their families and end up losing themselves. But before we begin, please like and subscribe to this channel and also comment where you're watching from. Thank you. Let's begin. The day Adewale Oyedele left for Canada, the entire community of Abule Oloja woke up to the sound of talking drums. It was not a funeral, it was celebration. His father, Pa Timothy Oyedele, a man known for his yam ban and his Christian devotion, had hired the local drummers to herald the news. The beats traveled through the early morning air, bouncing off the corrugated roofs and cocoa trees, a rhythmic announcement to the ancestors and neighbors alike. A son of this soil is going to America.
This is your time!
Can you imagine? The whole neighborhood gathered at the Oyedele compound like it was a church harvest. Ah, Pa Timothy, they shouted. You see all your suffering. It is not for waste. Your son will become a big man in Canada. He will bring the dollars. He will bring the light. Wale stood in the middle of it all, wearing a new but slightly oversized agbada his father had bought from a boutique in Mushin. It smelled of new cloth and ambition. In his pocket, heavy and real, was a thick envelope. Inside was the sum total of his family's existence. The money from the sale of his father's prized cocoa farm along the Ibadan road, the money from his mother's 2 kiosks where she sold provisions and kerosene, the money from the small plot of land his 2 unmarried sisters had jointly inherited from their grandmother. Everything. They had given it all to him. This is our future. His mother, Mrs. Folashade Oyedele, had whispered to him the night before, pressing the envelope into his hands. We suffered to train you. We suffered to send you. Now you will go and become somebody. We are counting on you, my son. We are counting on you. Wale felt the weight of that envelope not just in his pocket, but in his spirit. He was not just going to Canada. He was carrying the dreams, the sacrifices, the very survival of his entire lineage on his shoulders. The flight was long. He sat by the window watching the lights of Lagos fade, then the vast, dark Atlantic, then the first grey smudge of dawn over a land he had only ever seen in movies. When the plane descended over Toronto, he saw a grid of lights, orderly and cold, stretching to an endless horizon. It was beautiful, but it felt alien, like a photograph of a place he could never enter. He landed on a Monday, the air sharp and clean in his lungs in a way that almost hurt. He cleared customs, his heart hammering in his chest, and walked out into the arrivals area with his 2 heavy suitcases. By Wednesday, the calls started. It was his younger sister, Bisola. Her voice was high-pitched with excitement.
Wale, you have landed? Ah, welcome.
Listen.
Bro, I need a new phone. The latest iPhone 17 Pro Max. All the girls are having it.
They are saying it has a very fine camera. I want to use it for my TikTok videos. And I need a new laptop for my online work. A Apple one. You will send it, Abby? Wale, who was currently sitting on a thin mattress on the floor of his friend Dapo's cramped basement apartment in Scarborough, ran a hand over his tired face. He had barely slept. Bisola, I just got here. His voice was quiet. I haven't even seen anywhere yet. I have to find a job first. But Canada, you people have money there. she insisted, oblivious. You will find job fast. Just don't forget your sisters, oh.
Bro, I need a new hairdo. The whole village needs to know you're in Canada. He's in Canada, everyone. My brother is in Canada.
Everybody will see that my brother is in America and I am shining. He ended the call, the phone hot in his hand. Before he could even process it, it rang again. His mother. Wale, my son, how are you? Are you eating well? My neighbor saw Bisola in the morning and she told me you will send them things. Ah, my son, don't mind them. But me, I am hearing that their so okay in Canada is very fine. Very, very fine. They are saying the quality is original there. I want you to buy for me, and a nice jelly, a big one for church.
Hello, my son. The women's meeting is in August. All my friends' children are buying new wrappers and handbags. My son, for the meeting in August, I need new handbags and wrappers. My friends need to know my son is a big man in Canada.
I must appear very fine. My son is in America. I will wear my best, and everyone will see that I have arrived. Wale swallowed. Mama, it is not like that here.
It is well, my son, it is well, she interrupted, her voice filled with a certainty that left no room for his reality. God will make a way. Just send it when you can. Then it was his father. But Timothy's voice was thick with pride and command. Wale, my son, I have been thinking. You know I am a church elder in this town.
For years, I have been walking and watching my mates pass me with big cars. But now the story will change. My son, by December, you must get a brand new Hilux. So everyone will know my son is a big man in Canada.
I will drive it into the church premises myself. I will park it in front of the bishop. The whole Abule Oloja will know that Elder Timothy Oyedele has arrived. His son in America has done it. The calls didn't stop. A distant cousin needed money for school fees. A community elder he barely knew called to say welcome and to remind him that when Wale was a boy, he had given him a piece of candy once, and now Wale must remember home. Every conversation was the same. A demand wrapped in a blessing, a request built on the assumption that Canada was a paradise where money grew on maple trees. They didn't ask how he was. They didn't ask if he was cold or lonely or scared. They just asked for things. And Wale, sitting in that cold, unfamiliar room, could only listen. He hadn't told them about the immigration officer who had grilled him about his study permit. He hadn't told them about the 2 jobs he had already applied for and been rejected from. He hadn't told them that his friend Dapo, who had been in Canada for 3 years, was also struggling, working 2 jobs just to pay his rent and tuition. He hadn't told them that he had just $150 left from the family fortune after paying Dapo a small contribution for the floor space. He just listened, and the weight on his back grew heavier. The dream they had sold everything for was already becoming his nightmare. The job market in Toronto was a fortress, and Wale had no battering ram. His degree from a Nigerian university was treated like a foreign currency no one wanted to exchange. He needed Canadian experience. But how could he get experience if no one would give him a job? The rejection emails piled up in his inbox, polite and cold. Thank you for your application, but we have decided to move forward with candidates whose skills more closely match the requirements of this role. Dapo, a stocky, good-natured guy who worked nights at an Amazon warehouse and weekends at a grocery store, saw the despair in his friend's eyes. My brother, he said one evening, beggars are not choosers. My boss at the cleaning company, he needs someone for the night shift at a hotel downtown. It is not a good job. It is a humble job. You will clean the public areas, the lobbies, the corridors, and the washrooms. The pay is minimum wage, but it will put food on the table. Wale, who had dreamt of banks and offices, swallowed his pride. I will take it, he said. His first shift was a baptism of filth. The hotel was a gleaming tower of glass and steel, but back of house, it was a labyrinth of grey corridors and industrial cleaning supplies. His supervisor, a tough woman from Jamaica, showed him how to work the mop bucket, the floor buffer, and the caddy with its bottles of blue chemical cleaners. And then she showed him the toilets. This is the most important part, the woman said. You make them shine. People notice a clean toilet. You make them proud.
Wale, wearing thin rubber gloves that smelled of latex, spent his first night scrubbing porcelain, wiping mirrors, and emptying trash bins filled with the detritus of other people's lives. The worst part was the men's urinals. He would hold his breath, spray the cleaner, and scrub with a long-handled brush, his mind screaming, "Is this why my parents sold their cocoa farm? Is this what I crossed an ocean for?" But he did it. He did it because the alternative was failure. He did it because he had to send money home. By the end of his shift, his back ached, his hands were raw, and his spirit was bruised. But in his pocket, he had a pay stub that represented hope. His first salary was 1,600 Canadian dollars after tax. He had calculated it 100 times in his head. Rent for his space in Dapo's living room was $400. A monthly bus pass was $150. Food, the absolute basics of rice, eggs, and bread, another $200. That left him with $850. The moment the money hit his account, his phone buzzed. It was his mother.
My son, how are you? I dreamt about you last night. I saw you counting much money. The wife of a community chairman just bought a new car, and she is parading herself like a peacock. The villagers are saying her son in London sent it. My heart is sour, Wale. When will my own son remember me?
He transferred $600 that night. The exchange rate worked in his family's favor. In Nigeria, it was a fortune. He messaged Bisola that he had sent money, not an iPhone, but money she could use for her hair and maybe save some. He kept $250 for himself, for emergencies, for a new pair of work boots, for nothing at all, because nothing was left. Back in Abule Oloja, the $600 transformed into a legend. It was not just money, it was proof. Bisola got her hair done, not with cheap attachments, but with the best jerry curls. She walked through the community with a new swagger, her phone, an older model, but new to her, pressed to her ear, talking loudly about my brother in Canada. Pa Timothy took a portion of the money and made a donation at the church that was announced from the pulpit. Elder Timothy Oyedele, whose son is doing great things in America, has contributed 50,000 naira to the building fund. The congregation murmured with awe. He took another portion and bought drinks for his fellow elders. "You see this small thing," he would say, swirling his palm wine. "My son Wale, he sent this. He is making waves over there. He is a big man in Canada. Soon he will send the car, and then you will all see." The more Wale sent, the bigger the legend grew. He was no longer just a student or a new immigrant. He was a fountain of wealth. A new extension was built on the family house with the money he sent. His father bought a giant second-hand freezer that hummed loudly in the corner of the living room, a symbol of prosperity. His mother ordered the most expensive assorti from the market in Ibadan. The calls became more frequent and the demands more specific. "My brother, I need a new laptop, the small one, the MacBook Air," Bisola would say, ignoring his pleas about the cost.
Brother, for the wedding, I need money for new asoebi. You know, they need to know my brother is in Canada.
His other sister, Kehinde, would demand. His father's calls were now less requests and more instructions. "Wale, I have told my mechanic to start preparing the carport for the car. The one I want, the big Jeep. I have seen the picture in a brochure. You will bring it in December without fail." He would listen, his body aching from a night of cleaning toilets, his stomach growling because he had skipped dinner to save money. He would look at his own clothes, the same ones he'd brought from Nigeria, now faded and worn. He would look at his room, a sleeping bag on a couch in a basement. He would think about the cold that seeped into his bones, the loneliness that was his constant companion, the utter invisibility of his life. But to his family, he was a king. And the price of being a king, he was learning, was that you could never ever tell them you were living in a gutter. The first 2 years were a blur of bleach, exhaustion, and the relentless pinging of his phone. Wale had moved from the hotel to a factory cleaning job and then to a gig cleaning office buildings at night. He was a ghost, moving through empty corridors, wiping desks, emptying bins, making the world tidy for people who had real lives. He was always cold, he was always tired, and he was always broke. The pressure from home had become a machine that never stopped. Every story was a new need.
His mother's younger sister's daughter was getting married. He must send money for the dowry. His father's cousin was ill. He must send money for the hospital. The community needed a new borehole. Elder Oyedele's son in Canada would surely contribute the largest amount. The name Wale was spoken with reverence in Abule Oloja. It was attached to every new zinc roof, every new motorcycle, every round of drinks at the bar. But in Toronto, Wale's life was shrinking. He had stopped applying for better jobs. What was the point? Even if he got one, the money would just be vacuumed up by the demands from home. He had stopped going out with Dapo and his other immigrant friends, pleading work or tiredness. He couldn't afford a beer, and he couldn't bear the look in their eyes when he had to say no. His world had narrowed to the boss, the office building, the floor he slept on, and the phone. His breaking point came in the 4th year. His father called, his voice booming with excitement. "Wale, my son, the day has come. I have told the entire community that you are coming home for Christmas, and you are not coming empty-handed. They are expecting the big car. The whole Abule Oloja is waiting. People are already talking about the welcome party we will hold. It will be the biggest thing this town has ever seen." Wale had just $200 in his savings account. The money he sent home every month was immediately spent, not saved. The thought of a car, even a used one, was so astronomically out of reach that it felt like a joke, a cruel cosmic joke. He tried to explain. "Papa, I cannot afford a car," he said, his voice hollow. "Aye, what is that?" His father laughed, a deep, confident laugh. "You are joking, Abi. You want to surprise me. It is okay, I understand, but don't make the joke too long, oh. People are already congratulating me." "No, Papa, you are not understanding," Wale insisted, a tremor in his voice. "I am not a big man here. I clean offices at night. I scrub toilets. The money I send, it is almost everything I earn. I have nothing left for myself. I cannot afford a car. I can barely afford to feed myself." There was a long, stunned silence on the other end of the line. The laughter died. When Timothy spoke again, his voice was hard. It was cold. "Wale, are you telling me that after all these years, after we sold our cocoa farm, our properties, after we gave you everything we had, you are telling me you are a toilet cleaner? We did not suffer to send a toilet cleaner abroad. We sent a son who would become somebody. We sent our future." His voice rose with a mixture of disbelief and accusation. "We are parading here because of you. Your name is big in this town. And you are telling me this now, that you have nothing?" The guilt, the old familiar guilt, coiled in Wale's stomach. "Papa, I never lied. I sent everything I could. You sent money, yes, but you sent us a dream. And now you want to wake us up with this nonsense, that you are a cleaner? What kind of shame is this you are trying to bring to this family?" The call ended in a blur of angry words. The next day, his mother called, crying. "Wale, my son, what is this I am hearing? Your father is walking around the house like a madman. He has not eaten. The whole town is talking. They are saying our son is a failure in Canada, that he is not a big man. They are laughing at us, Wale. They are laughing at your father. Why are you doing this to us?" It was then Wale understood. He wasn't their son anymore. He was an investment. And an investment that fails to yield the expected return is a bad investment. It is a source of shame. He looked around the dingy basement, at the single bulb hanging from the ceiling, at his small pile of belongings. He was 31 years old. He had nothing to his name. No career, no savings, no partner, no life. He had spent 5 years surviving, not living, just to fuel a fantasy in a town 8,000 kilometers away. And now that the fantasy was revealed, he was being blamed for its collapse. For a week, he didn't answer his phone. He went to work, came home, and stared at the wall. Dapo, worried, tried to talk to him. "Wale, what is going on, man? You look like a ghost." On the 7th day, he picked up his phone. There were 52 missed calls and a torrent of messages, a mixture of pleas and insults. His father, "See what you have done to my name." His mother, "We are dying of shame. Just come back. Just come and see what you have done." His sisters, "You are selfish. You only think of yourself." Wale read them all. And then, with a strange, hollow calm, he made a decision. He booked a one-way ticket to Lagos. He didn't tell anyone until he was at the airport. Then he sent a single group message. "I am coming home." The news that Wale was coming home hit Abule Oloja like a second round of celebratory drums. The shame his father had felt for a week was instantly forgotten, replaced by a desperate, defiant pride. They had told the community their son was a big man in America. Now he was coming back. Surely he must be coming back in glory. His mother, Folashade, mobilized the entire family network. "Wale is coming. My son is coming back from America," she announced, her voice laced with a brittle hope. She went to the local moneylender and borrowed heavily. "My son will pay immediately when he arrives," she assured her. "He is bringing dollars." She bought crates of soft drinks and beer, sacks of rice and yams, and huge chunks of meat for a pepper soup that would be legendary. She hired a professional caterer and a live band from the nearest town. She bought new, elaborate outfits for herself and her daughters. Pa Timothy, his chest puffed out once more, went to order a brand new, colorful marquee to be erected in the compound. He told anyone who would listen, "My son is coming back in a big way. He's bringing a car. You will see. I will drive it myself into this compound." The day of the arrival was a festival. The marquee was up, the music was blaring, and a crowd of townspeople dressed in their best had gathered, their eyes scanning the dusty road that led into the town. The plan was that Wale would drive in, a conquering hero. They waited. A taxi, battered and yellow, appeared on the road, kicking up a cloud of red dust. It stopped at the entrance to the Oyedele compound. The door opened, and Wale stepped out. He was alone. There was no car. There were no bags loaded with gifts. He wore a faded pair of jeans and a simple, long-sleeved polo shirt that looked limp and tired. He was thin, his face pale beneath his dark skin, his eyes carrying a weariness that no amount of hometown sunlight could brighten. He carried one small, scuffed duffel bag. A murmur like a gust of wind through dry leaves swept through the crowd. The music from the band seemed to falter, the drums beating awkwardly in the sudden silence. Folashade froze, a smile plastered on her face that slowly crumbled. Pa Timothy's mouth opened, then closed. The sisters stared. Their elaborate hairstyles and expensive asoebi suddenly looked absurd. Wale walked through the crowd, which parted silently for him. He looked at the marquee, the food, the expectant faces, and a wave of exhaustion deeper than any physical tiredness washed over him. He walked past his father, past his mother, and into the house, leaving the celebration and their dreams in ruins outside. The party did not happen. The crowd dispersed, whispering. The band packed up their equipment, unpaid. That evening, the family sat in the dimly lit parlor. The borrowed decorations mocked them from the walls. Finally, Wale spoke. He told them everything. Not in anger, but in a voice so flat and devoid of emotion that it was more terrifying than any shout. He told them about the cold basement. He told them about the toilets he scrubbed. He told them about the job rejections. He told them about the noodles he ate for days to send them money for ashoke and hair. He told them about the loneliness, the hopelessness, the years of his life that had vanished while he worked to build a castle in the air for them. He showed them his hands, not soft from office work, but rough and chapped from chemicals. When he finished, the silence was absolute. The only sound was the hum of the big freezer they had bought with his toilet cleaning money. His mother, Folashade, was the first to crack. A low moan escaped her lips, and she began to cry, not the dramatic cries of village drama, but soft, horrified sobs. She looked at her son as if seeing him for the first time. "Wale, my son, my baby," she whispered, reaching for his hand. "I did not know. We did not know. We were so happy. We wanted to show them. We didn't think about you." Her apology was small, inadequate, but it was the first time they had ever asked about his life, not his wallet. Timothy sat slumped in his chair, a once proud man reduced to a figure of shame. The sisters stared at the floor. The fantasy was over. The real cost of their dreams, paid in their son's blood and youth, was finally clear. Wale stayed in the town for 1 week. He couldn't bear it. The pitying looks, the whispers, his parents' shell-shocked silence. He took the last of the money he had, a few $100 Canadian he had managed to save despite everything, and bought a bus ticket to Lagos. Lagos was vast and anonymous, a place where no one knew his name or his family's story of shame. He found a tiny, single-room apartment in a bustling, crowded part of the mainland in Mushin. It had a concrete floor, a shared bathroom down the hall, and a single window that looked out onto a maze of other people's laundry. It was humble, even by Lagos standards, but it was his. He had no furniture at first, just a foam mattress on the floor. He got a job. Not a big job, but a job. He became a dispatch rider for a logistics company, zipping through the chaotic Lagos traffic on a small motorcycle. The pay was small, the work was dangerous, and the sun beat down on him mercilessly. But when the day was over, the money he earned was his. The phone in his pocket was silent. He had not given his new number to his family. One evening, sitting on his mattress, eating a simple meal of beans and bread he had bought from a roadside vendor, he thought about his life. 5 years in Canada, lost. A family that saw him as an ATM, a return that was a public humiliation. It was a story of ruin. But as he watched the lights flicker on in the apartments across the narrow street, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't happiness, not yet. It was a tiny, fragile ember of peace. He was not a king, he was not a failure. He was just a man who had finally stopped running, a man who was finally going to live his own life, no matter how small it was. The journey of Adewale Oyedele, the one they had all sent to America, was finally his own. And for the first time, that was enough.